Hello, 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 and welcome to our weekly live show. I am Fabiana Claure, pianist and business strategist for musicians. I'm the founder and CEO of the Musicians Profit Umbrella, a global business mentorship program where we help musicians build, grow, and scale their music businesses online so that they can stop trading time for money and build really lifestyle, freedom based businesses that allow them to create the financial prosperity that they want without having to sacrifice their quality of life. And today, I'm super excited to bring a topic to today's training around what I learned after making my first six figures as a musician entrepreneur. And this happened to me twice, really. First, in my first business, which is a brick and mortar music school called Superior Academy of Music back in 2011. And then 9 years later, it happened to me in 2020 after launching my first online business. So I'll talk a little bit about the differences between the two ways in which I was able to create the first six-figure business, the first six-figure breakthrough, both in a brick and mortar school, physical, in-person type of business, as well as later in an online business. And so I'm excited for you to be sharing with me. If you are watching me live, let me know, where are you watching me from? I want this to be a two-way conversation as much as possible because I like to hear from you. So tell me, have you ever wondered, what that looks like? Have you already crossed the six figure in your business? Is this something you've even wanted to do? Has it been part of your goals? And if you have, let me know what your main questions are, right? Because that will also give me an opportunity to answer in a more personalized way, everything that I'm talking about. So I'm going to be watching those comments. Make sure you participate, you engage here in the chat as we are going along. So also let me know where you're watching me from. I'd love for you to share with me. Which part of the world are you in? Where are you watching me from today? What are you doing? Okay. So let's talk about, what it is to really look at that initial six-figure breakthrough, right? That's something that many musicians and even educators aspire to have, that initial financial breakthrough. And when it happens, I will say that generally it's a result of internal transformations that need to happen that allow you to create those financial milestones, those financial breakthroughs. It is, in my experience at least, it's never been simply a result of tactics or strategy or knowledge even. It's always been a combination of the right strategy, the right knowledge, the right tactics, the right tools, but also a willingness to become a different person in the process, a willingness to embrace a new way of behaving, a new way of making decisions, a new way of challenging yourself to step out of your comfort zone. And that decision, that commitment to growing and evolving as a human being in your own assumptions, in the own way you make decisions, in the way you make choices in your life, leads to the external manifestation, the external results that will eventually allow you to reach the goals, whether you want to reach six figures, multiple six figures, seven figures, and beyond. So the first thing I want you to understand is that the process of creating your first six-figure leap is going to start with your internal decision to become a different version of yourself. And this is sometimes really, really hard because we go through our lives adopting behaviors and adopting perspectives around business, around our careers, around music, based on our experiences, right? And those experiences inform and influence our perspective. So when you're trying to become a new version of yourself to create a bigger milestone in your business, oftentimes you don't have any evidence of those new perspectives, those new experiences, because they're in the future, they're in your vision. And so many times, most musicians who are not able to cross that six-figure leap, who get stuck below six figures, is because they are making decisions and behaving according to their existing circumstances, according to what they see in their immediate surroundings, as it relates to the possibility for their business, for their careers, maybe their experiences with the limitations that they've had in the past. And so those past experiences start to build a story, a narrative around who you are. And so I have many, many conversations with musicians who say, I'm someone who likes to think a lot before making a decision. I'm someone who likes to really take a time in pausing and reflecting and evaluating all the pros and cons. And even if I feel like I want to do something, I need to stop myself from just jumping impulsively, quote unquote, into a decision, because I am someone who likes to do XYZ ABC. And when you're talking in this way and you say, I'm someone who doesn't like to be seen online, who doesn't like the visibility, I'm someone who feels shy about connecting with others, I'm someone who doesn't like to manage other people, doesn't like to manage other teams, I just like doing all the things myself. The more you repeat yourself, I am someone who does things in this way, you are going to be repeating your behaviors, repeating your choices, and those choices will continue repeating your situation, repeating your existing circumstances. You see what I'm saying? The more you affirm the identity of who you are and who you've always been, the less likely you're going to be able to create a financial breakthrough that goes beyond what you've ever been able to create. Instead of being this person who says, hey, I'm someone who doesn't do things until XYZ, or doesn't make decisions, or doesn't like to delegate, or doesn't like to take fast action because I've always done it this way, the more you can shift to saying, well, yes, this is how I've usually done things. And those decisions have created my reality. I have been the cause, and my living circumstances is the effect. And that's sometimes very hard to accept. It's so much easier to blame external circumstances. Oh, the economy, or this or that. Just people don't want to buy what I have to sell, and to put blame on external factors that seem to be out of our control. And instead is to say, no, I actually am going to take 100% ownership of my life. And if I want to create a financial breakthrough, I want to build six figures, it starts with me making the conscious decision to start taking actions differently than what I've ever done. And if I'm someone who doesn't like to, delegate things, who likes to keep control of things and do them all myself so that I make sure they're perfect, I may now need to learn how to lead others into turning that vision into life and helping me build my dream business, my dream career, and become a leader, not just someone who implements and does everything, not just the producer. If I'm someone who feels always, hesitant about investing in myself and investing in acquiring the skills and the knowledge that I know I need to get to the next step, because I feel like I need to have proof, I need to have already evidence of the success before I take action, I'm now going to have to start saying, you know what? This version of myself that's going to make that six-figure leap is going to be able to make decisions from a place of vision, from a place of faith, from a place of knowing that there's a different reality waiting for you, but you need to become a different person as well so that you can create that reality. That reality will only become your reality when you start becoming, in a way, a different version of yourself. And so these are some of the things that when I started my first brick and mortar business, Superior Academy of Music, with my husband back in 2011, the first thing that we knew we had to be okay with was uncertainty. It was uncertainty, to be able to take risks, to make choices, to jump into the unknown without knowing for sure that it was going to work out. That was the first thing that we had to learn to understand, that we could not make decisions based on certainty. We had to be okay with stepping into the unknown and making decisions out of faith, out of vision, with obviously a calculated risk, a calculated awareness of what could potentially go wrong and how we would handle that if that were the case. I'm not saying be irresponsible here, but I'm saying don't let the uncertainty stop you from taking actions. Being that person who's able to move out of a place of vision versus a place of uncertainty, and letting the uncertainty freeze you and put you in a state of paralysis analysis, started to say, you know what, I'm going to move out of faith and do the things that I know I need to do. That was the first thing that I really realized. And we were interviewed by PBS in our first year in business, actually twice. We were interviewed right before we launched our school, and then we were interviewed with the first year after we launched our school. And that's something that I said in the TV interview, right? I was just sharing as a very, very, very brand new, fresh business owner back in 2011. Like, that's what I was really understanding and realizing. I had to live with. I had to learn to live with. Thanks to that, now 12 years later, not only have we been able to grow and scale our business, which is now in the multiple six-figure range, and it runs itself on autopilot in Florida while we live in Texas. But now the last 7 years, this has been a self-led business that just runs on its own with my husband that manages it remotely, but we don't even live in the same state. Do you think it didn't take a willingness to be okay with uncertainty when we did that? I mean, most people thought we were crazy. How are you going to move and leave your school and start a new life somewhere else and just have your school run itself? That's not possible. And we did it. Did we know it was going to work out for sure? No, we did it. Were we willing to take the risk and try to figure it out as we could? Yeah. And there we go. Now it's been 7 years. We've been living in Texas and the school runs itself in Florida. Isn't that amazing? Tell me if you wouldn't want to build something like that yourself. If you want to know, if you wouldn't want to know how you can create not only the income that you want, but also the modality that allows you to not have to be present all the time, right? So that was in my first experience making my first six figures as a musician entrepreneur. 10 years later, 9 years later, when I started my online Musicians Profit Umbrella program in early 2020, I remember at that time I was working as a full-time professor at the University of North Texas. And I had a lot on my plate. I had a full-time tenure track position. I had 2 kids, including a newborn. And I remember at the beginning of the year saying, I would like to make $100,000 this year out of this online business. And I remember at first it felt like, wow, that would be so amazing. But I had no idea. And certainly I had no proof that it was going to happen. But I decided to surround myself by the right guidance, by the right community. I decided to invest in myself and make decisions that I never did. I never had invested myself at the level that I did that year in terms of getting surrounded, acquiring the knowledge, the mentorship, the accountability, the community. It was the first year that I said, because I have these huge goals that I want to create, I'm going to make big decisions as well. And I'm going to make bold decisions. And I did. And in December of 2020, I had reached 6 figures. And that was just 6 months after launching my first program, Musicians Profit Umbrella. So what did I notice at that point when I had that milestone that was different than my first milestone making 6 figures back in 2011 is that 9 years later, my willingness and tolerance for risk had increased so much. If I was willing to take risks back in 2011 and took a huge leap of faith to start my brick and mortar school, to sign a lease, to go all in with my husband, like there was it. There was no backup plan. We graduated from our doctorate degree and then we had to just, we had no jobs. We had to figure it out, right? We had to figure out a way to create a living. So when we did that, it felt like a huge leap of faith. Then starting an online business, investing in mentorship and guidance and surrounding myself by the knowledge, the accountability, and starting to position myself online, building that visibility, really starting to adopt my authority and share my expertise and invite people to work with me and have enrollment conversations with potential clients and really like expose myself in a way that was 10 times more vulnerable than when it was when I started my first business. That required a new level, not only of risk tolerance, but also of serving. Because ultimately what I do to this day is nothing else than serve through my services. Serve musicians, help them, guide them, lift them up, empower them, inform them, equip them with the knowledge and the skills and the mindset that they need to be able to succeed. So I realized that the more I focused on serving, the more I knew that any risks I needed to take in my business to reach my goals, both from a financial standpoint as well as from a lifestyle standpoint, because I wanted more than just 6 figures. I wanted quality of life. I wanted more time with my family. I wanted more time to practice. I wanted more time to take care of myself. I wanted so much more than just making 6 figures. But my understanding and my commitment to serving and to saying, ultimately, if I feel shy about becoming visible, I was learning how to do a Facebook Live. I had no idea how to do live streams. It was all brand new. I kept thinking back into like, why am I doing this? What's my why? What is the why behind all of this? all of this knowledge, all of this adventure, all of these acquisitions of new skills. Why is this important? And when you understand, when you have clarity around the why, and you understand how you're coming from a place of service, not selling, everything else feels easy. Everything feels easeful and things work out for you. So to sum it up in my session from today, what I learned after making my first 6 figures is that number one, your tolerance for risk, the more you are willing to accept uncertainty and act in spite of fear, in spite of uncertainty, the greater your chances of winning and getting to where you want to be. And number two, the more you focus on serving through what you do and the deeper why of what you're creating, the more successful you're going to be in building the steps and taking the courageous steps and bold steps that you are going to take to become the better version of yourself that will make your financial goals come true. Your financial goals will only happen when you change internally and when you start adopting new mindsets, new perspectives, and new beliefs around what's possible for you. And so this is some of the things that I talk about all the time with my clients in our Musicians Profit Umbrella program. And next week, I'm actually going to be presenting a 5-day masterclass where I'm going to be walking you through the 5 most important strategies that I have discovered are necessary for musicians to be able to really build their music businesses online and eventually put them on autopilot. So I want to extend an invitation to you. If you're watching this and you would like to be able to continue this conversation, I have a page in musiciansprofitmasterclass.com where you can actually reserve your seat to join me for the next 5 days, starting Monday, where together I will show you how you too can learn to start working smarter and not harder, how you can start organizing the way you work and adopting a new mindset to start manifesting and creating the life and business that you know you're meant to have, where you're no longer trading time for money, where you're no longer sacrificing your quality of life, and instead you're able to build a business out of service, out of vision, and expand your impact. And of course, as a result of all of that, create the financial prosperity that you know you deserve. So I want to invite you to join me. Go to musiciansprofitmasterclass.com, and I look forward to seeing you in our event starting Monday. Thank you for joining, everyone. Let's prosper together.